All right, guys, here's the equipment needs for the Big Woods Preseason Hunter program. To start with, I'm doing this at home rather than in the gym because I want folks to understand that you absolutely can complete this program, have really good success and adaptation without access to a gym. Okay, now, if you do have access to a gym, great. You shouldn't have any issues completing the program. However, there's still going to be just a few pieces of equipment that you're going to want to take with you to the gym each day. So let's get started. First off, you're going to need something such as a sturdy cooler or a box that you can step up on. Okay, we'll have a lot of step up variations in the program, and you want to make sure that you have something sturdy enough that you can stand on with weights or a pack on, holding a sandbag that isn't going to be too rickety and fall over. Coolers work great. In terms of height, I would recommend cooler height or box height that is down below the base of the kneecap. If you start getting up closer to the bottom of the kneecap, it's going to be a little bit higher than what we will typically see in backcountry hunting situations. Okay, doesn't mean that it won't work. It just might be a little bit higher than you're looking for. This one is approximately 16 inches high. Second, you're going to need some form of dumbbells or kettlebells, handheld weight. Okay, so here I've got 20s. 20s, 15, anywhere from 15 to 25, 30 pounds is going to be adequate. Okay, you're going to be able to get a lot done. There's situations where we might be asking for more load, and you can get that by adding a pack to your back, or I'll show ways to put bands on your dumbbells to further increase the resistance. Okay, so if you have a couple sets of dumbbells, great. If not, if you've only got one set, depending on strength, okay, stronger individuals are probably going to want heavier dumbbells or kettlebells. Then, but for the most part, that sort of median zone is going to be right around 20-pound dumbbells. Now, there's also a company called Rock Weights where you can actually fill these plastic molds with concrete, and you could maybe order a 60-pound version to give you that heavier load. Okay, and that's a great option as well. From there, you're going to need some bands. Now, these are what are called continuous loop bands. So here I've got a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch. Having some options there in terms of resistance. Bigger band, more resistance. Smaller band is less. Having some options like, say, a 1/4 inch to approximately an inch, that's going to give you a lot of capacity to both to do lighter movements as well as heavier. And then you can also add them together to get, here's 3/4 and a 1/4. So there you've got an inch worth of resistance. Okay, so continuous loop bands. From there, on the topic of bands, having a couple of these, what we call mini bands. Okay, these are super cheap. I got a green and a blue. It's a light and a medium. They're like a couple bucks a piece. Having some of those will be super helpful. We use those in the program on a lot of our prep movements. Here, if you can see it, but this is actually an old handle from one of my bands. Okay, it broke. Okay, the strap broke. So I just kind of salvaged that. I added a carabiner to the end of it, and that's what I use to, like, for grabbing a hold, hooking onto a band, right? And then you can hook that band to a post. It gives you a lot of options there. If you don't have, an old broke down handle, you can buy these for like 15 bucks online. They have them everywhere. You're just looking for like a cable handle unit. Okay, from there, having one of these suspension trainers, although it's not the end of the world if you don't, you can still complete the program without it. I certainly incorporate them. You don't have to get the fanciest, most expensive models out there. They make some off brands. I have several of them at the gym that can be really effective. We've had ours for years. They're doing just fine. They're like $60 to $75. But these are super, super helpful. You do need to have something to hang it to. A pull-up bar works great. If you don't have access to a pull-up bar, of course, you can always get the ones that mount in the doorway, stud bars that attach to the ceiling or the wall. These do really well hooking to those, but you can also hook these into a doorway. And they almost always come with a doorway attachment. Okay, so these are what are called suspension straps or trainers. Now this one is actually set up as a, there's two handles on one strap. I actually prefer the models that have two separate straps. It just makes it easier for doing single limb movements. Okay, moving on from there, sandbags. Now, there's a lot of different sandbags out there. I've probably used the majority of them, trying to find the perfect bag. I've kind of settled on using Go Ruck. They work well for us. They're comfortable. Okay, these are what are called the Go Ruck Simple Sandbag. They're comfortable. They make it really easy for, a clean. They're comfortable for squat. You can set them on your shoulder. A lot of different options there, things we can do. Bent over rows. The handles are pretty sturdy. I've never had an issue, with the handles breaking. They do tell you they don't leak. That's bullshit. 100% of the sandbags I've had over the last 15 years, every single one of them has leaked. These leak the least. I will say that GoRuck did send me new bags the first time that they leaked. I've got another batch now to send. But the other thing with sandbags is that you can then use those for loading in your pack. So here I've got another bag. It's a little smaller bag loaded in there. Having different weights, I would say like anywhere from 30 up through 60 pounds. Like if you had a 30, a 40, a 50, and a 60, that's probably going to be your biggest investment of the whole program. But you fill them with sand. They're still not super expensive. Maybe you buy a couple to start. If you really enjoy it, you buy a few more later on. You fill them with your own sand. You can take them wherever you go. If you're training on the road, got to have sandbags. Okay, got to have sandbags. And then last is having a pack. Preferably, not necessarily preferably, you're going to need something with a frame. It doesn't have to be a load hauler like this Mystery Ranch here, meaning like the pack comes apart so you can actually load quarters of meat and stuff in there. You could have one with an internal frame, and that would work just fine for the program. A lot of the day hunting packs that are out there will have an internal frame, and that'll be sturdy enough to load up to say 30 to 40% of your body weight into. So yeah, gotta have a pack as well. Other than that, guys, that just about does it. I think that all in, depending on what type of cooler or box you have, you can always make one. You're probably looking at equipment somewhere around the $250 mark to get everything that I have here. Okay, so that's what you're going to need. Again, some of this stuff, if you're going to the gym, they're probably not going to have, or they might not have the sandbags. They might not have suspension trainers. You're going to have to bring your pack if you're doing pack-based movements at the gym. But otherwise, everything else, this is it. Like, I can totally crush this program training from home, and a lot of our athletes do and find great success. It also gives you the ability to quickly transfer from your training into shooting a bow, or we'll have different workouts and work capacity sessions where I'm incorporating shooting into the training. Okay, so you're shooting under physical stress, and having this stuff right at home, okay, is super helpful in allowing you to complete the program and just really get the most out of it.